Welcome back, everyone. Last year, we were taking everyone on a courageous journey. If you're a caregiver, parent, or teacher. And one of the things that we shared was bringing our kids closer. So not sending them away, not sending the hurting away, but bringing them closer. And I've had a lot of parents talk to me about, well, what does that look like? Because when my kid is throwing a fit, or if they're not behaving, I don't want to bring them closer. I feel like I'm condoning the behavior instead of sending them to their room where, of course, they need to think and they need to reflect. And so we want to kind of bring some clarity around what does it look like to bring kids closer. And so, for an example, when my son was going through a lot of his anger, I would stay in the same room with him.
Right.
So a lot of kids that lash out, they're sending a message. Behavior is communication. They're telling us something's wrong. I don't know how to handle this large emotion.
Yeah.
And I need somebody to come alongside of me and help me figure this out. And for some of these kids, they don't recognize it when we stay in the same room. They have no idea. They have no self-control yet. It took a year of me doing that. A year of me staying in the same room, removing everything that could hurt or harm. I had to stay in the same room for a year, and then eventually they start to soften, they start to calm down, they start to trust. I think the biggest thing with kids, they don't know how to trust. A lot of kids with oppositional defiance disorder especially are expecting punishment. Or you might be doing this, you might be sitting next to me telling me all the right things, but what do you want? You just want me to comply, don't you? So they need to know that we're in this for the long haul and that they can trust us. That's huge. But one of the things that we were talking about was that doesn't mean that we're condoning the behavior. We're still setting up some pretty good boundaries. For example, you can't swear at me. You can't call me names. This is something I will not tolerate. And I think parents need to know that it's okay to say, this is where I start and this is where I finish.
Absolutely.
And to say it in a firm but kind.
Yes, and I think one of the ways that I like to think about it is, replacing that word condoning with containing.
Oh, I like that.
It's like you're the adult here, and you have that prefrontal cortex that's firing, and so when that kid is completely out of control, and imagine being in that person's little body in that moment. How terrifying would that be for them? To be so out of control that they're breaking things, that they're, you're the person they love, you're their mom, and yet they are behaving in a really cruel, awful way towards you. Like, that would be a really scary, out of control feeling. So having that adult who can sit in that room and say, yep, I'm here. Here's the line. I'm not going to let you cross it. And I'm going to help you contain this. And then once you're back down to, a regulated kind of, you can think rationally again level, then we can talk about consequences or all those other things. But I think that's where parents really struggle again, is what you were saying. In that moment, it feels like, well, if I stay here and if I give them empathy and if I show up for them in this way, then I'm telling them it's okay to treat me like this. Which is a valid concern. But I think it's, reminding ourselves that it's more about being that container for that child. Is how do you help them bring it back down?
I like that.
Because they can't do it on their own.
No, and they can't. And I think that's one of the struggles that I had, was I was thinking that my son actually could. What's wrong with you? I just read a book called Lost Connections this summer. It's all about the causes of anxiety and depression. And it was a powerful book. And he talks about we need to stop saying what's wrong with you and start asking what happened to you. And helping these kids name it and tame it. Oh, I can see that you're really frustrated. And I know I tried that on one of my sons once. I said, I can see that you're really frustrated. And he's like, well, of course I'm really frustrated. But even though there was that big lashback, he named it. And then I learned also not to reason until we calm down. Like, we're not solving any problems at this point. Well, this is what we need to do. It's just being present until there is that calm. And then we can talk about what was happening, what's going on, how are we going to fix this. But in the moment, in those moments when they are being like heightened, I love that, being the container, being just present, I know for me, I feel better when someone's just around when I'm feeling like I'm going to lose it.
Yeah.
I like what you did there. You said we need to just be empathetic.
Yeah.
What are these kids going through?
Yeah, and that can be such a challenge because it can also really heighten us. I mean, I work in an environment with high-risk youth, and there are moments where it is extremely terrifying to see, especially, you know, a teenager, someone who's in, you know, they're my size, they're essentially in an adult body, lose control in that way. And it can be really, really scary. But I've learned that by being able to keep myself calm and regulated and grounded, that is really the best and sometimes the only way that I can help them in that moment.
It's so true.
Yelling at them, telling them to stop, telling them to go to the room, that's not going to help them contain what's happening for them. But by you being that really grounded, regulated, calming presence, you can help pull them back down the ladder to where you can actually talk about what's going on and solve some problems.
Oh, I can't even say how important that is for parents, just to stay grounded. And that means that we need to be cultivating that in ourselves on a daily basis so that when these things hit, we don't have to try to do that we actually already have it a part of our own life.
Yeah. And it's that self-awareness, because there have been moments where I'm like, yep, I'm up there right now.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
I'm not helping this situation, so I'm going to tap out. Right? Somebody, you know, like if you have a partner, this is where the village is so important, right? If you have that, you know, even an older sibling, a friend, whatever, an uncle, just somebody to be like, oh my goodness, like someone to listen to you.
Yes.
And help bring you back down so that you can show up for your child the way that they need.
So important. And we hope that you find a village in us and that you can find people who can be supportive, because sometimes it is hard, and especially if we're going through our own journey and our own stuff. And these children are ours through it all, no matter where we're at in our life. And so please do seek help if you do need help, and seek out friendships and people who you can be really real and vulnerable with. And we, of course, would love to hear your story at any time. We want to be an encouragement to parents to know that you're not alone and that you don't have to have it all together in order to parent these kids. You can do this. So we'll see you next time.